Hey, welcome back everyone. It is now the end of January of 2022, and we're only getting closer to the Book of Boba Fett Chapter 6, which is really going to have a lot of revelations and surprising reveals by director Dave Filoni, who's handling the episode, before we move on to the finale, which of course is going to be Chapter 7 that rolls into February. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel for future Star Wars updates. Also, by the way, guys, I am on Twitter at Mike01 if you guys want to go ahead and give me a follow on there. I do make sure to post a couple of entertaining things from time to time and really interact with you guys further. So we're now in a very interesting phase of Star Wars, given that we are just a couple of months away from the official release of the Obi-Wan Kenobi TV show. The actual trailer has been complete. Now we just have to wait until it arrives sometime in mid to late March. So we're not all that far off, because the trailer is now complete. It's all done. It's all wrapped up. We just gotta wait until exactly when Disney and Lucasfilm want to drop that trailer to really get the fans very excited about what's to come by, of course, this spring. So everything related to Star Wars right now, alright? We have a lot of things going on behind the scenes between Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni, George Lucas, and the like, and exactly what they're really trying to do to bring Star Wars back to its roots, to really bring Star Wars back to the vision of George Lucas. And by doing that, they're really going to be taking a lot of Star Wars legends, a lot of the highlights, I must add, from legends. We're talking about, like, the Thrawn trilogy from the 1990s, or Dark Empire, or the New Jedi Order. So I do suggest that you guys go ahead and read up on those books if you want to kind of get the idea, or to get the overall image of what Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni are cherry-picking from those books, from those comics, etc., to drag into the live-action Star Wars universe. So, on top of all of this, what's really exciting has everything to do with exactly what's happening with Kathleen Kennedy. Now, with both Disney and Lucasfilm now focused on their new Star Wars shows, like Ahsoka and Mandalorian Season 3, both Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni are beginning to work on other shows that will be announced at Star Wars Celebration later this year. Now, on top of this, it's described that currently Lucasfilm's Kathleen Kennedy made some key changes behind the scenes over at Lucasfilm in order to focus more on the Acolyte TV series. Recently, Kathleen Kennedy made a big decision to cancel what was going to be a spin-off TV show for the Acolyte that was still in the pipeline at Lucasfilm, and was going to be a project that would begin filming in 2024 if the Acolyte series was successful. However, recently Kathleen Kennedy decided to pull the plug on the series and canceled it altogether in order to use all of her energy on one show instead. The spin-off series was going to focus on Maeve, who was going to be a Jedi God in the Acolyte series. However, she was set to get her own spin-off show for Disney+. This was going to star actress Brie Larson as the main character in the spin-off series, much like how Boba Fett is a spin-off to The Mandalorian. So, the thing about this is that Kathleen Kennedy was trying to create her own equivalent of Book of Boba Fett, basically, is what she's trying to do, or was trying to do. And now she officially canceled that show altogether. You guys may recall that we talked about this briefly a couple of months ago, that the Book of Boba Fett, was a great example of that. It's going to be a spin-off of The Mandalorian, and how Kathleen Kennedy wanted to do her own thing like that with the Acolyte TV series. Now, the Maeve spin-off TV show was in the pipeline for over a year, and it has been, and it really didn't work all that well. It wasn't really gaining the traction that it needed to, because Kathleen Kennedy really could not convince any kind of Star Wars writer or director to come on board and work on that series. So that was the other big problem about all of that, is that Kathleen Kennedy had a lot of issues with the TV show. She had a lot of problems getting people on board to work on the series, and it just wasn't really budging or moving anywhere at that. So, beyond all of that, Kennedy was also having trouble executing the new series on how it would be done, and couldn't get any writers on board to handle the show. Not even Leslye Headland, of all people, wanted to handle the new TV series, as Leslye only wants to work on the Acolyte for the time being. The show was set to also explore a brand new galaxy in the Star Wars universe that fans have never seen before, and would have given the fandom the true origin story of the Jedi gods in the Star Wars timeline. Kennedy, however, was having so many issues getting writers and even directors on board of the new show that was going to deeply dive into the story of Maeve and how she was created as a Jedi god in a sense. Kathleen Kennedy also was going to do some more extensive retcons to the Skywalker saga in the new series that would have impacted the prequels greatly, that would have created backlash from the entire fandom. Now, as of now, Kathleen Kennedy only has plans for the Acolyte series and gave up on this spin-off show, which likely is showing that the Acolyte series lacks passion and that the creators are lacking a vision or direction of the series and how it could tie into other important Star Wars shows. Now, I've said this many times before in the past that the Acolyte series doesn't really seem like it's a show that the creators are confident about. You don't really see Kathleen Kennedy or Leslye talking about the show extensively, and it almost reminds me of the Rian Johnson trilogy where they kept quiet on it for so very long until that was eventually just canceled altogether. Bob Chapek, by the way, scrapped that entire show. He canceled it. It is no longer happening. That is a no-go. And the Acolyte spin-off show, it sounds like it could very well be in the same situation, but we'll have to wait and see. Again, there are plans to begin filming on this show by this April. That's still in the plan as of right now. That could always be delayed or canceled altogether. It really all depends on exactly what happens. But for the time being, it is still set for April to film. So, on top of that, this is described to be Kennedy's way of handling the Acolyte better by canceling all of her other projects that have been hanging by a thread that were going to be picked up or even erased by Disney anyway in the long run. Kennedy is also busy creating plans for her own production company, Starlight Productions, that will be unveiled sometime later this year to the film industry, that will focus on new sci-fi shows and movies that will act as a competitor against Star Wars and Star Trek. Kennedy is getting ready to begin filming The Acolyte with Leslye by this April still. So here's the deal about this. Now, this show in particular was going to treat Brie Larson as the main character, Maeve. And we already know that Brie Larson is not all that well liked. I think that this show would have been a disaster in the making. Again, guys, if you like Brie Larson, that's fine. You know, I myself am not a fan of Captain Marvel. I'm not a fan of her work in the Avengers movies. I really just do not support her overall acting style. And if you guys have caught up with a lot of her interviews, she's very self-absorbed, she's very self-driven, and she really doesn't care really about working in an ensemble cast. She kind of really doesn't really enjoy that. She wants her own movie and her own movie only, or her own show in that sense. So, I think that what we're looking at right now, everything with the Acolyte show, it doesn't look too great. The marketing so far, you know, there's no plans for it on exactly how they're going to construct the marketing for 2023. That's still pretty much, you know, well delayed, and they don't really know what to do with that because filming just keeps on getting pushed further and further, and it's kind of impacting the marketing technique for 2023. So overall, I think that the Acolyte series, I will admit, it sounds great on paper about emerging dark side powers in the High Republic's end. Sounds interesting, but it's not going to be driven by passion. It's not going to be driven by valuable creators like John and Dave. Again, this is all Kathleen Kennedy and Leslye Headland. So, like I say, I would like to hear what you guys have to say about all this below in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
From night to moon.